Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Jed Donahue. Delighted to have Bryan Rodgers, director of the University Park Airport for the last 6 years. We'll get into some of your background, how you got into the airport business, but I want to talk about this new airport control tower, and you can go online and kind of get a backgrounder on it. It's $3.9 million to build. I understand Congressman Thompson very instrumental to get some government help there as well. Talk about how this is going to move you into the future. What impact does it have? We look at it from the street, but what does it mean for those of you that are right inside the place?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great project for our airport. It brings us an enhancement of safety that we've long been looking for. The control tower, when in operation, is going to expedite the flow of traffic in and out of our airport. It's going to separate aircraft, and it's going to just give an overall benefit in terms of safety for aircraft that not only use our airport, but those that use airports in the vicinity of us. There will be the airspace around the airport will change to Class D airspace, and so everybody's going to benefit from this. And it's going to also be a big economic tool, allow us to attract corporate operators and hopefully airlines.
Yeah, you caught my attention there with like Class D. How do they do that on the alphabet? Class A, B, C, and D? I don't even know how, to be honest with you, when I watch like film of these air traffic controllers and stuff, it looks insanely crazy and confusing and stressful and all of that sort of thing. But what's a Class D?
Class D airspace is Class Delta airspace. It'll be a 4.5-mile radius around our airport. Okay. And that airspace will be controlled by the controllers in our control tower. They'll talk to and aircraft wanting to come into that airspace and aircraft wanting to leave that airspace, and as well as any aircraft operating within that airspace. So it's very much a controlled environment surrounding our airport, which we badly needed for many years.
Yeah, I see it warmer around here, and I see all these hot air balloons around. Do they need to like get a hold of you guys?
They will. They'll have to contact the tower, and obviously the
really hot air balloons up there. Okay.
Hot air balloons will have the right of way, but because they don't maneuver too well. But yeah, they'll also contact the tower.
So you start thinking about attracting more flights and maybe carriers into the future. Does this really put you on firm footing to be able to go to like a Delta, for instance, and say, let's add more routes?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly not the factor that'll determine whether or not we see additional air service or not. Primarily, that's going to be driven by our market and what the market can sustain. Back many years ago, Comair, which flew flights to Cincinnati, came to us and they wanted to help us in getting an air traffic control tower. So it's important to the carriers, but it's not the single thing that's going to determine our air service.
What do you think of the type of thing there, so as far as, attracting a carrier and all of that sort of thing?
Well, we work, like I said, we work very closely with the Center County Airport Authority, who takes lead on this particular line of business. We've talked with Delta, we've talked to U.S. Airways and a number of other carriers about improving service, whether it's additional flights to Detroit or bring back that flight to Atlanta that we once had, or let's give people flying U.S. Airways an alternative to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Let's get them going to Charlotte. We're working with the airlines annually and trying to convince them that there's a market here to meet that demand.
Well, it's such a growth area, and now you've got this new tower, and you're making other improvements, which we'll get to. But I mean, I've got to think, you were in Altoona, before you came to University Park and kind of worked down there a little bit. You're from that area and then worked at PennDOT before. I'll get to that in a sec, but you're kind of in the central hub type of thing.
Yeah, this airport is very much becoming the regional airport for central Pennsylvania. There are other airports in the vicinity, but they don't have the service or the frequency that we do, and I think that in and of itself is making us the regional airport for the area.
Yeah, you got that Penn State brand name, but you see people that'll drive to Harrisburg to pick up a flight, or they'll go all the way to Baltimore, Washington to, get, people drive 3 hours one way to get a better flight.
Right.
So.
But they're not, I think what they need to take into account is the cost of their time, the drive, the mileage. They need to take all that into consideration. I think they need to at least look at University Park Airport first when making those travel plans, because the savings might be in the ticket price, but when you total it all up, I think they may be spending more than what they set out.
Yeah, or gas prices. My producer just talked about Johnstown. Is it more conducive, convenient to go from Johnstown to University Park, or all the way to Pittsburgh and do that.
Right.
I mean, but that's going to be the future, how you market things, right?
It is.
Yeah.
We market ourselves directly to the airlines because the airlines don't pay too much attention to a small market like ours. So it's incumbent upon us and the airport authority to reach out to the airlines and show them what the potential is for our market.
So when you look at the tower, the FAA, there's still some funding concerns, right? Because you're trying to get some, I guess the controllers, you don't have them up there yet. Kind of explain where we're at with that.
The tower is sitting there ready for operation. However, it's vacant because right now at the 11th hour, the FAA, upon their inspection of the facility, told us they didn't have the money to pay for controllers to put into the tower. So that's all subject to the budgetary problems that we're seeing in DC right now. Hopefully this won't fall victim to that budget crisis in DC, and they'll resolve it soon.
Yeah, controllers, they're government employees, right? I mean, they're FAA.
Well, these particular controllers will be contracted by the FAA, so it's a private company under contract to the FAA to provide air traffic control services. But they won't be able to do that until the FAA has the funding available.
Mm-hmm. And I know Congressman Thompson is, how does that work as far as the funding? I mean, it's not just him, but you're talking about that it's in Congress and things like that?
Right, it's not just him. Congressman Thompson has been extremely supportive of this project and is helping us where he can, but it's a larger issue. It's Congress in general not being able to come to agreement on a budget.
So is this the single biggest development, you think, in your 11 years, this new tower? Bringing this in, for you personally? I mean, if it's personal opinion, give it.
It is. For me personally, it's been my project that I've been focused on for the past 7 years. And it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in the position we do right now, being it's out of our control with the budgetary issues. But it's, I think it's going to get resolved soon, and it'll be resolved favorably, and we'll have the tower up and running.
All right, we're with Bryan Rodgers, director of the University Park Airport. We'll talk about Bryan's background, how he ended up in University Park to run the airport. We'll also talk about a full-scale disaster drill that took place 2 years ago, back in 2009, but how that enhances safety and what it means for you here locally. We'll be back with more For the Record after this.